there was a fair bit of engagement between NATO and Indo-Pacific nations. Australia, Japan, New Zealand and South Korea were meeting an organization.
Ukraine and the war is not the only issue. NATO's plan for Asia is also causing divisions. The alliance sees China as a rising threat.
Since the very beginning of our civilization, many wars and development programs were done by the allied groups of several countries. In this era, it is also very common to have a dedicated organization for focusing on any significant aspect. As an example, the United Nations is aimed to keep the peace and perform charity works throughout the world. Similarly, we are aware of the organization NATO, which is based on security and military empowerment for its member countries. Since the Russian invasion of Ukraine, NATO has come under the limelight more, because the reason behind this war is more or less related to the organization. The North American Treaty Organization, NATO, was founded in the year 1949, focusing on the military empowerment of the North American and European countries. The organization is including new member countries since that time, and trying to build a more powerful security group for its member countries. Currently, NATO has 31 member countries, all over Europe and North America. The organization has increased the number of army personnel by recruiting many new countries in the organization. Currently, NATO has a combined number of 3.37 million military personnel in its member countries. The purpose of the organization is to support each other in times of conflict and war situations with any outsider country. As Ukraine has been getting suppressed by Russia for many years, the president of Ukraine started to make moves towards joining NATO for getting military assistance in their hard times. Besides, America is a dominant member of the organization, and having a member country besides Russia is similarly beneficial for the organization to get an advantage in the everlasting Cold War and conflicts between Russia and the USA. But Vladimir Putin understood the consequences of it and declared an invasion of Ukraine. Ukraine is still surviving the war with the help of the USA and other European countries. According to reports, the USA has sent the biggest military and logistic support to Ukraine, which is worth 70.7 billion euros. Similarly, the European Union sent aid of 35 billion euro, and the UK and Germany sent separate aid worth 10.7 billion euros. But similarly, NATO is now getting more and more interested in allying with Asian countries. Is this going to create another war? And why NATO is getting more involved with Asian countries? Geographically, Asia is one of the most important locations in the world, where some of the most powerful economies of the world such as China, Russia, and India are dominating. The rise of China in terms of economy and military power is a very significant aspect, which is making the Western countries more aware of the Chinese empowerment. If we look at the growth of GDP in China, the country had a GDP growth rate of 9.55% in the year 2011. It kept a similar flow over the years, but significantly dropped during the time of COVID-19, and after that, the GDP growth started to rise again. For Western countries, such immense power of China is a threat to the geopolitical dominance. Besides, the experts say that the next few decades will be dominated by China. The country is very optimistic in terms of industrialization and manufacturing. The huge population of China is another key reason, which is making them a leader of the current world. One of the main sources of Chinese revenue is the export-based income of the country. They export various types of products all over the world. In the year 2018, the export revenue of China was $2.6 trillion, which kept increasing over the years, and by the year 2021, it went up to $3.5 trillion. They are increasing military power, developing industries, and developing the human resource of the country for becoming better in all aspects. In that case, if China becomes the world leader, the relationship between China and Russia can be significantly threatening for the countries like USA, Germany, and other European countries. As we have seen so far, the dominance of Russia made it very difficult for the European countries to survive without the supplies of Russia. In a worst-case scenario, the affiliation between Asian countries can bring an end for the Western countries when it comes to leading the world in a geopolitical context. NATO faced one of the biggest crises since the Russian invasion. Although the organization was estimated as one of the biggest and most powerful alliances of different nations, the invasion made them understand why it is crucial to engage more with the Asian countries so that the power of China and Russia can be suppressed. One of the biggest proof of NATO's interest in Asian countries is that they invited Japan and South Korea to the latest NATO seminar held in 2023. The participation of those countries is a clear indication of the interest of the organization in Asia. Besides, the countries have also joined the seminar willingly. It is said that one of the key reasons behind that is the lack of military power in Japan. Although Japan is economically and technologically very developed, they do not have a dedicated military force for conducting warfare in times of crisis. It might come to your mind that, why they do not have a military for warfare and security. That would take another video to describe. Please subscribe and support us if you're interested to see our next videos. Japan can get many benefits through joining NATO, and the first and foremost reason behind this is military empowerment. Besides, trading with the Western and European countries will become much more easy for them. On the other hand, South Korea lives under the constant threat of North Korea. They can get an advantage in that cold conflict through the help of Western countries. Because of that, the USA will be capable of controlling North Korea more effectively if they become allies with South Korea through the organization NATO. The conflict between the USA and North Korea is a big concern for the United States, and they are very interested in having control over that region to dominate North Korea. The recent incidents of those countries joining NATO conferences indicate a relationship of mutual benefits which is important for both sides. NATO has focused on some other countries in Asia as well. The approach of NATO is long-term, and it is still unclear if they will be able to include Asian countries in their organization. However, critics are describing it as a game plan for having a better edge over China. Even though the statement of China has also claimed it, according to NATO, the friendship between China and Russia is a threat to the lawful democratic world. As a proof, NATO stated that China did not vote against Russia regarding the pact of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. They are afraid that if such consequences continue to grow, the world might face the scarcity of lawful governance, and many countries can fall a victim to that. But China is not standing still. As soon as NATO published this statement, China countered it, saying that they are aware of NATO's intention to reach the Asia-Pacific region. If they are interfered with by the organization by any negative means, China is ready to tackle that by any means possible. It is a clear indication of China that the country does not want NATO to engage with any Asian countries, and even if they do, China will not tolerate any kind of interference from them. It sounds like, if the organization tries to interfere, it can bring another conflict like the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Although it seems tough for NATO, the organization has planned to open an operational office of the organization in Tokyo. Depending on the current scenario of the world, such conflicts indicate that, in the near future, it is possible that the world might see some other issues of conflict because of this. The world economy has struggled through COVID-19, and the war between Russia and Ukraine made the situation worse, as the rate of inflation raised significantly in most of the countries of the world. Such incidents in the future can leave a devastating impact on the growing economy of our world. Besides, all the countries are looking for personal benefits in this geopolitical context. The USA is considered the most dominating power of our current world, and the Chinese dominance is always increasing at an alarming rate. In that case, there is no other option for the United States, rather than expanding NATO in the Asian region.